I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we are recording this podcast, the Bidjigal and Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay respects to elders past and present and extend our respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people from all nations of this land. Welcome back to the Pick Me Up podcast, episode 7, and today we have a very special guest. He has been on the podcast twice before, and he is a very important kind of guy. You know what? I'm just going to tell you right away who it is. It's Ali Taylor.
Oh, hello there.
Welcome back.
Thanks so much. I am the first person to get a hat trick on the Pick Me Up podcast.
Yes.
3 appearances. So good.
Yes.
Well, apart from you, obviously.
Yeah, true. You can't beat me. No. I'm on every episode.
Yes, you
Sorry,
are.
everyone out there.
Oh, good. But thanks for having me back. It's great to be here.
It's so good. I'd like to quickly just do a little description of what's going on right now.
Right this second?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm wearing a Pick Me Up podcast hat.
You are?
From Ali.
Yeah.
And it's
Not any old hat. The bucket hat.
the bucket hat.
Yeah.
And that will make sense to you if you go back and listen to every single episode of the podcast series.
Yes, it will. Yeah.
But we have a lot of hats around us, and we're going to play a little. We're going to have a hat party.
Yeah, we are.
And Ali's getting right into it.
I am. Yeah, I'm wearing... this is the debut wear of the Songwriting Prize hat for this year, of which there is also, like the Pick Me Up podcast bucket hat, only one of these. So we're starting off with unique hats, and actually looking around at them all, they're all quite unique. Yeah. And we'll see how the hat party goes, because I don't think either of us have really thought through what we're going to do with them. But
we were like, hats, great call.
And here we are.
Sitting amongst the hats.
That's it.
So good. So, the big question.
Yes.
How are you?
Thank you for asking. I always like how you ask it as well. I am today warm because of the weather.
Yes.
You gave me a look like warm. That's a strange thing to say. No. Warm because of the weather. I
like cozy warm? Or, I was like, what kind of warm?
Well, yeah, I'm
are you?
hugging this cushion and I'm feeling cozy
Yeah.
on the couch. But I am often affected by when I don't sleep. And the last 3 nights I've had 3 really good sleeps in a row, which doesn't happen very often. So energy levels are good. My mood is good. And I'm acutely aware that with sleep deprivation, lots of things drop off for me. So the last 3 days has been great to have those sleeps, because before that had a really difficult 7 to 10 days with many things happening. But as of right now and as of today, on this beautiful day, I am feeling good. And yeah, nothing else is going to mind. So
I have a question.
Well, before
based
you do,
on your answer.
Oh, no, if it's based
on your answer,
sure.
what's your like prime optimum amount of sleep hours? Like, do you need to get a certain amount of sleep?
I would say 6 to 7 is
Yeah.
optimum for me. More than that, and I'm lethargic the next day. Less than that, and I mean, I can operate on very little sleep.
Yep.
But I'm not operating
repetitively,
at
yeah.
prime levels.
Yeah.
But I'm not a napper or anything. So if I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's me up until I go to bed. So yeah, I need to kind of be better about the time that I go to bed the night before to ensure I get the 6 to 7 hours. But yeah, anything more than that is just, you'd think it would be good, but it's not for me at all.
Yeah, crazy.
My question is one that you were quick to pick me up about. How funny. Pick me up.
Pick me up podcast.
Which was the first time I came on the show, you asked me the big question, and then I didn't ask you how you were. So I'm going to ask you now.
Dun, dun, dun.
How are you?
I am feeling really good.
Good.
Without saying good.
Yeah.
Let me find
Putting
a better
really
word for
before
that.
it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
Doesn't
it
count.
No.
I feel really happy at the moment. And I actually do think that similar to no, you were talking about sleep, but mine is the weather. Like
Right.
I'm very much weather driven, and that's been really obvious to me in the last week when the sun has been out after we've just had all of that rain. I like to think of myself as a lizard.
Oh, okay. That's not what I was expecting you to say at all.
Because I feel like I'm solar powered. Like
Right.
as soon as the sun comes out, like my motivation is like 120.
Okay.
When it's raining, I'm like, I don't want to do anything. Like when it's cloudy, I'm like, not sad, but I feel lower in mood.
Yeah. My wife Liv is exactly the same.
Yeah.
She definitely responds to the heat and the sunshine. But more the sunshine, not necessarily the heat, but the sunshine, and not the dreary, dark, cold, rainy, wintry pieces. So, yeah. But I wouldn't say that she would say she was a lizard. That's a new one for me.
Yeah, I feel
I
like,
like
a
it, though.
lizard. Because lizards just go out in the sun and they absorb all of the rays, and then they're like, all of energy.
Or they come into your house like they did for me today.
Yes,
Weird
true.
that maybe I planted that lizard thing in your head. Who knows?
Maybe. That's true. Yeah, no, I just feel like I feel really happy at the moment. I've got some good things happening in my life, which is nice. Work is going well because I started a new job at the start of the year, and I think now
Yes.
I'm starting to find my routine in that, which is good. My sister's overseas, and I'm really happy for her because she's traveling. It took her a while to get over there, and I'm sure
we
she'll
found
be
that out at the end of last season of the podcast. She was just about to.
leave.
embark on
Okay,
the
yeah.
travels,
So
yeah.
she, my dad was not well, so she postponed that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's finally over there, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but she suffers from anxiety quite a lot, and it's such a huge thing for her to go over and do that. And
Right.
I'm so just immensely proud of her for doing that. And you know, she texts me when she's not feeling 100% or she's struggling with something, and we just kind of talk it out. But she's not good with travel. She gets quite
Okay.
badly travel sick.
Right.
An
extra
motion sickness.
barrier then, yeah.
Yeah, and she's been getting on like 8-hour train rides and like all of these things, like boats. She would never get on a boat. Like it's just a huge.
good.
And I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
And the fact that she's, got you to
Yeah.
text and chat
Oh,
to
yeah.
and everything. And but
Yeah.
double barrier. Not
Yeah.
only the anxiety piece, but also
Yeah.
doesn't travel well.
Yeah.
Going overseas. That's
Yeah.
that's a massive thing.
She's
That's
my
so
hero.
good. Yeah.
Like she's just someone who's so aware of all of that, and she's constantly learning to live with it and making it better for herself.
Go on, Nicole.
And yeah, such a hero with that stuff. So yeah, I feel really happy for her.
So good.
so yeah,
not just happy for you, but
Yeah.
happy for other special humans in your life as well. That's
Yeah,
great.
and I am someone who gets my happiness from other people.
Yes.
Like I thrive off
I'm
that
pretty sure
stuff.
we've talked about love languages before.
Possibly.
And about
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Okay.
if someone else is happy and good, I'm like,
Not just anyone.
no, my family and my surroundings. I mean, I'll thrive off happiness from other people. Random guy on the street, yeah, woo.
I can see that with you actually. Celebrating a random person's happiness.
I mean, yeah. But yes, I'm happy.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. So
Yes.
I've formed some fun things to do with you
Okay.
on the podcast today.
Okay.
It's a special episode. And what I would like to do with you now is seeing as, and I think people are aware, but you give us the top 3 topics.
Yes. I actually don't know how many people are aware that I do that. But
Well, they're aware now.
they are aware now. But no, I was thinking.
Maybe, actually. I probably have never announced
I don't
that.
think it's ever been announced. And there's only less than a handful of people that I have asked, how was the top 3?
Yeah,
and they were
right.
just like, oh, it was great. Did you have anything to do with it? And I was like, oh, I came up with the topic this week. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's a well-known thing. So, but I'm happy for it to be.
Okay,
and
I was like,
now it
well,
is.
do we need to take this out?
Everyone now knows. So, yeah. Yeah.
So instead of doing a top 3 for you,
Yeah.
we're going to do what I'm randomly just calling now a rapid top 5, which is one of each of the top 3 topics of this season so far.
So you're number 1 of 5
So,
different top 3 categories.
yes. Yes,
I think
correct.
we're on the same page.
Yes. So I
Wow,
will
that's cool.
read out your top blah, 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 and then we'll go through and
And it's-
each 5 of the guests that we've had.
Yeah.
It'll be one, whatever their topics were.
Yeah, amazing.
So
And
right now-
how rapid is rapid? Oh, hat change.
I'm going with the glitter because we're...
do you know what? I'll match you with the same style of hat. But
yes! Okay, we've swapped hats for those...
yeah, we have.
Playing online.
Yeah, nice.
Listening, not watching.
Yeah, this feels different now, actually.
Yeah, my ears. The bucket hat's like trapped the sound.
Mine wasn't a bucket hat.
Oh, that's awkward.
But I have a rim now and I didn't before. So this is good. I feel...
This is great.
I feel ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, top 5.
Sorry, before we start.
Yes.
Are you playing too?
I can. But
you normally play?
Yeah, I do normally play.
But no. Okay, that's fine if you don't want to.
We're doing firing...
Yeah.
Because I've already answered them all.
You have.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So as quick as you can think of your number one category, number one thing in that category.
That's your number one.
As
opposed to the first thing that comes to my head. I think number one, but I'll be really strict with myself to go, that's the best I could do in the time that I have.
Yes. Okay. And it's in order of episodes.
Okay.
So... Well, it was, but now the numbers have changed. So let me try and remember how this... Okay. Are you ready for the first one?
I am ready for the first one, yes.
Your first one is top texture.
I'm going to say satin.
Satin.
Yeah.
Great choice.
Yeah. Not... I can't think of the other one. What's the other one, the more famous one that's like that?
Chiffon? No. Silk?
Silk, yeah. Not silk. Not silk.
I know why I went with chiffon.
Not silk. Too much.
Yeah.
Satin for me.
It's like a happy medium.
Is still that smooth, but yeah, I just went with texture to touch.
Yeah, great call.
Not to wear.
Yeah,
that's a whole different.
That's a whole different thing. Oh my god.
Silk or satin boxers or anything. It's like no, that's not a nice experience.
That is a conversation in itself. Hey, textures to wear, like stuff that's itchy. Like,
I think it'd be easier to do top 3 worst textures to wear. Yeah.
Okay, number 2. Top item of clothing.
I'm gonna say Nike Air Max. They're the comfiest footwear I've ever worn.
Yep.
Had them since I was around for Air Max 95s and 98s when they first came out, and have worn them since then. And every time I move away from them and get a different pair of shoes, I'm just like, yeah, these are comfy, but and I'm wearing my green Nike Air Maxes right now. The
green ones.
And they're
comfy, hey.
So comfy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And good for everything. They're kind of semi-smart, but I could run in them if I wanted to.
Yeah. Multi-purpose shoe.
Multi-purpose, yeah.
And also, I don't know if it's my age, but there's nothing better than a comfy shoe.
Yeah. No, see, I think it just gets talked about more when you get older.
Maybe.
I think everyone really secretly craves a comfy shoe.
A comfy shoe.
But when you're younger, it's just like, maybe it's a fashion day, not a comfy day.
That's true.
But I'm
all about comfort these days.
Everyone would prefer to have a comfy shoe.
That's true.
Yeah, if they made ridiculously high stiletto heels in a comfy variety, they would be the ones that sold out.
Exactly.
I've never worn one, so I don't know, but that's my hypothesis.
That's my hypothesis on that. Okay, your next one is top thing that calms you.
It's the same thing that riles me up, the same thing that gets me going. It makes me cry, makes me happy. It's music. Like if I need to be calmed down, I need space, but I'm not going to say that's not a very exciting answer.
Yeah.
So I would take myself somewhere. But yeah, I have a playlist which is specifically for that.
Yeah.
And never fails.
So good.
Yeah.
Music is just multifaceted.
It really is.
Yeah.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. We will be here for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, we'll be old. 3 years, actually. We'll be still young. What am I talking about?
Yeah, okay. That's why I had the reaction.
Yeah.
Come on, Huh? 3 years.
Next one is top instrument to listen to.
That's actually not easy.
It's not easy. I had to impersonate a bass clarinet to work it out.
I know you did, and I'm sorry to say that's not going to be my answer. Although, no, it's not an instrument. I was going to say your impersonation of a bass clarinet could be one of my top instruments, but
it was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the highlights of the season for me so far. I would say probably a string quartet.
Wow, yeah.
I know it's not technically an instrument.
No, but...
So if I have to be pedantic and pick one, I would say a cello.
Yeah. I feel like we've had this conversation.
Or, and I'm sure he'll appreciate me mentioning this, my good friend Patrick Lawson, who renamed it last year in the Songwriting Prize, to the ground violin. And then as that person and that band went to the grand final, he renamed it the grand violin. The grand violin. So good. But it is grand.
The cello.
And it is, I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It is a great sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one.
Oh, wow. They went quick.
Top dance move.
Now, funnily enough, I spoke to my daughter this morning about this on the walk to the bus stop.
Incredible.
And said, I was so interested in the way that you and Jess interpreted it. Don't worry, I'm not padding to think of it. I've got it already. Oh. But this is relevant because you picked specific one moves. And I was like, you could interpret it as an actual... And my answer is, because I know all the moves from beginning to end...
Yes.
Tragedy by Steps.
Ah.
That dance move, which is a whole dance, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
It comes on and I'm out. Watch out, clear the floor.
Clear the floor.
Actually, there's a more obvious one because I did it at my wedding and I did it at someone else's wedding and got everyone up dancing, which is the hand jive.
Born to hand jive, baby. That?
Yeah, so, yeah. But so rather than just one move, like a thing or a dealing the cards or a pulling a pint or a whatever, I went with the whole dance.
I did the microwave.
You did the microwave, yeah. But I don't think Jess knew what you were talking about.
No. Disappointing.
And you explained it twice and she still was
She was
there,
like, what?
That's a shame.
But watching her dance like a dad was just one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
So good.
Everyone check out that reel. It's on the Picking Up Podcast Instagram.
We're videoing this season. He says
me trying to
nervously
describe it,
because we're not halfway through the episode yet and who knows what's coming.
That's the top 5.
That was
top ones of the 5 topics that we have done this season.
See, this is the great thing about being here for this episode because part of the reason why top 3s and scenarios are in the podcast is because we played them together and they're 2 of my favourite games. Yeah. And I get to hear everybody else play them every week and I never get to. So that was and I think awesome.
Everyone's really loving them.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me, but I don't care. I'm here for it. I have a bloody great time with the top 3s.
That's so good.
And they're great conversation starters.
They do. You don't know what's going to come out.
Like if you ever go somewhere and you need something to talk about, whip out a top 3.
Absolutely.
I've given you them all. There's at least 15 of them going now.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I actually think that when we first started this, that everyone was more excited about scenarios than top 3s. But I feel like top 3s are closing the gap and they're kind of on par now.
Yeah. And the reels of the top 3 are doing really well.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's more talking involved in them.
Yeah.
Scenarios
That's
is just
true. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I love that we both posed for that.
But we didn't know what we were posing for.
No, we were just like, yes.
Oh, my God.
Oh, gosh.
What should we talk about next? Should we have a change of hat again?
We should have a change of hat, yes. Yeah. I'm going cap this time. Goodbye, glitter.
I'm going to go with the Monza one because it's a little different. I don't think these hats do not suit me this style, but I'm going to go with it anyway. So.
Whoa!
And I think I've still got the cardboard in there, but I don't care.
I think it looks great. It's very flat.
I heard
it's like
the wavering in your voice, Kate.
We're not here to look great, though. We're here to have fun.
Monica.
So.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
YOLO.
Yeah, the Monica one suits you. It's good.
It's a great colour.
It is a great colour.
Matches my hair.
It does.
And my nails.
And my nails. So does mine.
Yes. White and white. Okay. My next topic.
Oh, cool. We got
Well, no, it's not a topic. It's just, I thought recently, obviously, this is the first time that I've hosted a podcast or anything like that. And it's the mental health space being so heavily involved in it is very new to me. And I've recently done, some things at work about, training and how to handle different situations. And, society is always changing. People are so different and interesting and all that kind of stuff. And I would like to talk about how we can better educate ourselves in talking about mental health and the right language to use around mental health. And I thought this would be a great opportunity for you to give us an insight into that. One, with your knowledge of it, and also where people can get more information about that, because I think it's really important. And I find it difficult to find, or my lack of knowledge is, or I have a limited knowledge in that space, and it'd be really cool to just, I think, chat about it on the podcast.
I love that, Kate. And what I especially love about it is, out of everything in the mental health and the suicide prevention space of all the work I've done over the years, this has always been one of my specific things that I'm really passionate about. And I don't know why or where it started. It maybe started from a situation where someone used incorrect or unsafe language and I saw the effects of it. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And unofficially, I didn't say anything out loud or write anything down, but it just became this thing that was, because everyone has their little niches or their little pockets that they're particularly passionate about. And this, for me, has always been that. And you'll be glad to know that there absolutely is one specific resource out there, which is seen as the gold standard. And I'll talk to that. But the fact that you said that you didn't know that there was something out there just shows how much needs to be done in terms of letting people know. For me, the safe language piece is twofold, and it relates to the mental health space, and it also relates to things at more of the pointy end at the suicide prevention end. And there are guidelines called the Mindframe Media Guidelines, which were originally created for screen and radio and television, and was for the press when they were reporting about mental health and about suicide. And when they were created, there were a set of guidelines set out to show that they weren't going to use triggering language, and they were going to steer away from certain words and phrases that would help to keep people safe while they could still report, but not using certain language. And when it comes to those things, that within these media guidelines that have been created, there's a number of different pages and all the thinking behind why you shouldn't do this, but there are some tables that are really handy, which are literally do's on the left and don'ts on the right, and then the reasons why you should use this preferred language instead of this. So the Mindframe Media Guidelines, they were created by an organisation up in Newcastle called Everymind. You can find them on Everymind's website, and you can download them. They also do training for individuals and workplaces, and that training, don't quote me, but last time I spoke to them, came at no cost. And the beautiful thing over the last few years is that they were originally created for press, but then they created another set of guidelines that was for stage and screen. They then did another guideline for another group of people, and now they have guidelines which are just available for anyone who is going to be talking to someone else about mental health or about suicide. So that is absolutely the place that I Listen Up direct people to. It's also in my day job. It's the same place, and we have a copy of those on our website.
On the Listen Up website?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Also, for the songwriting prize this year, on the entry form, there's a checkbox to say that they've read and accept the Mindframe Media Guidelines, so that when they're on stage, the performers, and talking, they have said that they have read these and will conform with them. And also for our judges at each of the semi-finals, there is a part on the opening page which says, when you're scoring this, you should take into account the Mindframe Media Guidelines about safe language and things like that. So, that's what I would suggest certainly as the first port of call. In our mental health training that we do, we have parts of those guidelines in there, and we talk to, and maybe it'd be useful to give some examples of some of the things. So one of the examples that whenever I talk about this topic, I always mention, because it, for me, is the perfect example of when something is done wrong that could absolutely have been avoided, and the things that have happened since, which is for the Netflix show 13 Reasons Why, when it came out.
Yeah.
So it came out, and the people who made it were consulted and were given the media guidelines. And one of the things that it says expressly in those guidelines is that when you're depicting things on screen, you should never show a method of suicide. And in the first season of the show, the people who were in charge of making the show decided that they were going to ignore that advice, and they were going to depict a method of suicide in the show. And they were given the reasons why not to. What ended up happening, to cut a long story short, is off the back of the last episode airing, there were 4 copycat suicides around the world. And the suicide was a complete copy of what was in the TV show. And the reason why method is not something that should be reported is because if somebody is in that state of mind, it could put an idea in their head. The response off the back of that, on a positive note, for when they came back for season 2 and what happened, was they were very apologetic, and they then adopted the guidelines and things have changed. But I just can't help but think that had they not looked for impact and numbers and viewership, as opposed to listening to the experts who were there giving them, those situations could have been avoided. So that's an extreme example, obviously.
Yeah. I do remember all of the media talking about all of that, and it just being like wild. And it's also, when you're in those situations, it's really, without that background knowledge, it's really hard to know what's real and what's not, and especially in the media, but just with those kind of shows and what's going on, and are people saying this, and what does this mean, and all this kind of stuff. It's so hard to it's such an interesting situation.
It is, absolutely. So I would suggest that for anybody who is going to be talking to a friend, a family member, a peer, if anyone's going to be offering any sort of support to someone, if anyone's going to be even talking about the topic and wants the confidence in what to say and what not to say, even down to certain phrases and words that you should and shouldn't say, it's the absolute best place to go to. And if it means the difference between somebody actually talking to someone or helping someone or seeking help themselves by doing it, then it's yet another thing to have in your toolbox.
Yeah, that's great.
Always.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just thought that was a really interesting question to ask, because, as you know, I've been in situations and I'm talking to people all the time now on the podcast, and I want to be able to respond in the most appropriate way.
Yes.
And there's been instances where I possibly said something that I wouldn't have thought was wrong, but somebody else might, or there's just better ways to frame things. And I think I love learning that stuff. That's really important to me.
And it's so super easy to do as well.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's not like you're maybe a little bit interested and then you have to go and do a 2-day or a 2-week course or anything like that. It's literally get this resource and read it, make yourself a little flashcard, and then start implementing it. But also, what I've also seen work really well within our community is people who have been educated on this thing. I've seen them be in conversations with others where those people have used non-preferred language or unsafe language, and they have corrected them. And you never get a response from someone which is, don't tell me how to talk about this stuff. It's always, oh, thank you so much. Because
I was just about to say, it's like, I think it's okay to correct someone, but it's also okay as a person to admit that you're not quite aware of how to communicate it properly, and how can I, like, asking that question. I think that is, it's so fine, and I wonder if there is like a fear of, I think there might be, because I think I used to feel a bit like that, being like, I don't think afraid is the right word, but I'm not sure how to ask about not knowing.
Yeah, of course.
How to communicate that stuff properly, or what are the right things to say when I'm in a situation like this.
Yep.
And I think the same thing falls under the neurotypical, neurodiverse umbrella as well in those situations. And it's the same with, like, you know, finding out someone's pronouns. I think it's just ask. I mean, I'm of the opinion, just ask, because there are people out there who will want to help you know.
Definitely. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable by asking, because, you know, in my experience, the worst thing you're going to get is an answer that can help you.
Yeah.
And if you inadvertently offend someone, then just show them your intent and be apologetic and say, no, this is coming from a place of me wanting to know more. It's, you know, I was having conversations this week from people in my day job about the work that I've been involved in with the First Nations director at work, and talking to them, and did this interview for a research project, and they were so pleased that I was so curious and was happy to say I didn't know this or I've made mistakes, because they saw that it was coming from a place of wanting to do better. And I feel, I mean, this is a totally different topic that we won't have, I don't know, we won't have time to get into any time, I don't think, because it's so big. But, you know, I'm acutely aware as well as a white male from the UK of the job and the responsibility I have when it comes to reconciliation or, you know, all of that. So for me, I just approach those situations and say, I don't know these things. I want to help. Please, can you tell me what I can do better, what I can do more of? And I don't feel that that's ever met with resistance if you go with an open mind and saying, I want to help.
Yeah. And how can I do better? How can I be better at this? Yeah. Well, thank you.
No problem.
I think that's such a good conversation to have. Yeah. And I think it's not, I feel like the Listen Up community is so much about spreading that education around that.
And helping others and developing people to be more confident to do the things that they weren't confident about before.
Yeah.
And I think it goes without saying, but I think I should probably pop Mindframe's guidelines in our liner notes for today's episode.
Yes, I think that is a great idea.
Yeah.
So we still have another activity to do and scenarios, but we're actually out of time for today. So everyone is going to have to come back next week to hear Kate's Takes featuring Ali Taylor and listen to our scenario. So make sure you come back for next week, because next week will be part 2 with Ali Taylor. And let me tell you, the Kate's Takes featuring Ali Taylor is something else. And I'll give you a sneak peek, and that is plums and nectarines. And I'm just going to leave that right there with you. So stay tuned, or should I say tune in, next week for part 2 featuring Ali Taylor on Kate's Takes. Bye.